Good morning, everyone. And my name is Anne-Marie Beggs. I am the owner of a business called the Paragraph Challenge, and who works with adults and children from the neurodiverse spectrum. So, what does that mean? I work with individuals who are dyslexic, dyspraxic, dyscalculic. So, in layman's terms, that's English, maths, reading, attention, focus, autism. Like, we cover a whole range of issues. And I'm always on the lookout for somebody who is in the area of education and educating people in different areas. So today I have with me Louise Plunkett. Um, Louise, I have never officially met. I only know Louise from her online presence because she's in the community that I'm in, the Mums in Business. And Louise, like myself, is trying to educate people. So good morning, Louise.
Good morning, Anne-Marie. Thank you so much for inviting me on.
You're very welcome. So Louise is going to tell you a little bit about what she does and I suppose what her story is, why she does it, and what area of education she's trying to work in. So thanks again for joining us, Louise, and maybe you can start off a little bit about telling us a little bit about yourself.
No problem. So I am severely, sorry, I've got really bad echo.
Oh,
I don't know if it's my end or your end. Oh, it's gone now. Okay, so I'm severely sight impaired. This used to be known as registered as blind, but it got changed. I'm not quite sure when. So I have a genetic eye disease, which is progressive and it's untreatable and incurable. So I have lost most of my central vision. Now, your central vision is what you use to read, to identify people, to differentiate colours. Essentially, you use it for every single task that you do on a daily basis. So when you've got limited or you've lost your central vision, it proves that there are then lots of challenges in daily life. Now, when I was diagnosed with this, I was 15. I'm now in my 40s, so I've lived with it for a long, long time, and it has progressively got worse over that time. And I've learnt ways to cope, to kind of navigate the world. I use my long white cane. He's called Michael Caine. Don't mess with me.
I saw that on your Facebook yesterday.
Yeah. He goes everywhere with me. So, but it was only recently, kind of about in the last 4 or 5 years, that I've actually fully embraced my sight loss.
Okay.
And accepted it and learned to, come to the realization that it's part of who I am, but it doesn't define who I am. So prior to that, I never spoke about it. Close friends, my family knew, but it wasn't something that I made a fuss about. If I was out somewhere and I couldn't see something, I wouldn't say, excuse me, do you have a large print menu? Or, do you have this? Or do you have that? Could you help me? That wasn't me. That wasn't the type of person that I was. But I've realised that there is such a huge lack of awareness and education amongst the general public, and also for businesses as well, that they are not being accessible and inclusive, particularly with their digital content. So the world is very much moving and has been moving to being online. Obviously, COVID times and the pandemic, everything switched to being online, but so much of what is out there isn't actually that accessible to somebody like me who has a visual impairment. So my mission is to educate businesses on ways in which that they can make small changes very often to what they're putting out on social media, or what's on their website, or in their email marketing, or on like digital resources, that type of thing, in order to be inclusive, because there's just not enough of it out there. Society's very much kind of focused on gender equality and race, and it does feel as though disability has been very much pushed to the back of the queue and forgotten about.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, until you said to me, are you going to put subtitles on this? I mean, it makes sense, but I hadn't even thought about it. So, I think it's not that people are dismissive or not; they just aren't aware, like you said.
Yes.
And they're not actually thinking. So, I suppose it's educating people to think like, who's going to be able to see this or who's going to be able to hear it, because some people can't hear and they have to be able to read it. So, and some people can't see, so they like to listen. So I suppose it's, I mean, I'm in the field of education, so I'm always thinking about things that are going to suit my students, but only when I came across you did I think, oh yeah, well, there's a whole lot of other people as well, apart from my students who don't always flourish in education. There's a lot of other people that I hadn't considered, if you know what I mean. So I suppose that's why I was interested in speaking to you, Louise. So, what's the name of the company that you have? Are you the founder of the company, Louise?
I am. So my business is called Impact with Lou. I have a presence on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. I am on Twitter, but I don't tend to use it that much. But I'm out there, sharing content, sharing about my life.
Yeah.
I also have a Facebook community as well, where I do weekly training to help, and it's business owners who are in that group, to help them understand and just think about things a little bit differently. And it has already had, that ripple effect. People are making changes, which is absolutely fantastic.
Absolutely. And do you go into companies, Louise, and companies and work with them to help them make changes? Or
I haven't yet. That's on my radar to-do list.
Yeah, definitely.
For the future.
Because sometimes you need somebody to physically go in and show you what to do, rather than go, oh, I'll do a little piece, I'll do something with my Facebook, like you said, or something else. But you kind of need a whole, I suppose, company-wide policy, don't you, that everybody understands what the difficulties that face, rather than just okay, the HR person might know, but nobody else might know. And
no,
so I think that would be
no. So I am on
the
diversity. I'm on the diversity and inclusion panel for Mums in Business International, and actually they have recently overhauled a lot of their graphics because they used a lot of script font in their graphics and their images, and I was just like, I can't read it. It's so difficult to read. And actually a lot of other people who haven't got visual impairment said that's really difficult to read. I struggle with it.
Yeah.
So that there have been changes have been made, which has been phenomenal.
Because a lot of posts for a while on social media were very pastel-y, and even I didn't enjoy them, I have to say. I much prefer to see a photograph of you or a photograph of someone with bright colours than otherwise it's all very samey, isn't it? And it's all blending into each other. Yeah, I can see that. So you recently were in Spain, I see, Louise. So what were you doing in Spain?
Yes, I was. Well, that was a huge adventure for me. So I haven't flown for 17 years. And I've always travelled whenever I've been on holiday with my family. Obviously when I was younger, then with my husband, and then with my husband and children. But we've got a camper van, so we're kind of in the VW world. We like to go to festivals, and we've toured around the UK, and that is what we've done. So we've never ventured abroad on planes. My eldest son has ASD, and he doesn't want to go on a plane.
I can appreciate that. Yeah.
We won't go on a plane. So for me, it was a huge deal for me to travel independently, having not flown, and my sight having deteriorated a lot more since the last time I flew. But actually, it was a really, really positive experience. So I booked passenger assistance both ways at the airports, and it was brilliant, so helpful and supportive. And it has given me the confidence that actually, if an opportunity arose again, that I could go and do that by myself and I would be okay. So I went to Spain with 3 other ladies to meet and stay with Leona Burton, who is the founder and CEO of Mums in Business International. And we essentially had a lovely time in Marbella. We did a little bit of sightseeing. We had very long lunches, and we talked lots about our businesses. And Leona was able to give us incredible advice and kind of ideas and encouragement, and we all supported each other, and it was just fantastic to have that time focused on each of us and kind of our businesses and supporting each other as well.
It sounds fabulous, but it looked fabulous too.
It was.
Looks like
Oh, it's so nice. So
your
nice to have
photographs.
some
I was
warm.
going, oh wow, it just looks great. Looks like they're having a great time. You all look so happy.
Yeah, we did. None of us had ever met before, so we've met online, obviously on Zoom, on networking events and things like that, and obviously we'd seen Leona on trainings, but to actually meet each other in person was just mind blowing.
Yeah.
We all got on so well. It was
Like, you
just
know the person
incredible.
really well though, because
Yeah, well, you do, but from the neck up, because that's all you ever
it's really
see.
odd, you know, it's really odd because my kids always flag me because likewise, we went on Zoom, me and my colleagues around the world during the pandemic, and I'm like really good friends with people in Australia and Canada and America that I've never met. And I always say my friend in Australia, and my kids go for Zoom friends. I mean, they know loads and loads about me because obviously we did the same training, but then like we did a boot camp as well together, and we just shared a lot of information that you might not share with people that you go out and have a cup of coffee with. It's really odd.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm sure I met Leona actually a couple of weeks ago at Ashling's event when she came to Ireland. Poor Leona.
She's one amazing lady.
Absolutely appalling. The polar opposite to Murray. It was snowing and she was staying in the country. I said she was going, I'm never coming back here again. It was cold, wet, and miserable. The event itself was fabulous, though. Everybody enjoyed it immensely. So is there anything else that you would like to share with people, Louise, that they can do? Like, what can people do straight away?
So, well, this will kind of tie in nicely with what you do as well. So, if you are using hashtags when you are posting on social media, use camel case. So people kind of think, oh, what's camel case? Never heard of that before. Camel case, if you think of a camel and you think it's got hubs on the back.
Yeah.
So if you have got a hashtag which has more than one word in it, put a capital letter for the beginning of each word within that hashtag. Now that means that a screen reader will be able to correctly read that hashtag rather than it just being like a word salad. It can't make sense of it if it's all in lowercase.
Okay.
But also those with dyslexia, it's easier for them to read hashtags as well because you can clearly see the defined words within that hashtag.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Although social platforms, they love to suggest hashtags for you. You type a hashtag and you start typing and it'll
and then and it goes, oh,
and they're all in lowercase, and it's just like,
yeah.
oh,
So
it's
you
really
have
frustrating.
you just have to ignore it and just keep typing.
You just have to ignore it. If
Yeah.
you use a standard set of hashtags for your content, what I suggest you do is save it in like the notes on your phone or
that's
in a
what I
document
used to
on
do,
your PC
and
copy and paste it across.
Yeah.
If you've got the speech input enabled on your keyboard on your phone, so you can do that in the settings under keyboards, you can actually dictate hashtags to your phone, and it will automatically put camel case in for you.
Yeah, my husband would like that. He's dyslexic and he uses Otter a lot. He speaks into it. I mean, it's entertaining because he wrote a book a number of years ago, but he's written another business book, and I was editing it for him. And because he has quite a strong Dublin accent mixed with the dyslexia, some of the things, I mean, he's going, what are you laughing at? I'll be laughing for about 5 minutes. And I go, okay, well,
what was this you said?
I was going, did you use Otter? And he goes, yeah. And I said, I can tell because he says ting instead of thing. And so it had all and one sentence was, see, the thing is, and then I went, well, yeah, maybe people would laugh. I said, but you wouldn't be able to read it if you didn't work with dyslexic people. You wouldn't be able to edit it because you have to understand the train of thought. You know, I'm going, oh yeah, I know what he's saying because I can always tell from. But then it made us think as well about when kids are doing exams, like big exams, like A levels and all, who are dyslexic. And I know you get accommodations and everything, but if the person correcting the exam doesn't have good knowledge of dyslexia, they're not going to have a clue what you're saying. You know, they're going to go. So there's just so many. There's so many different things to consider. with all different learners.
Yes,
But, you know,
absolutely. You
technology
almost need a panel or a board of
expert.
experts who
Yeah,
mark the papers of students who have got additional needs, whether it be dyslexia, whether it be sight loss, hearing loss, whatever it might be.
yeah,
They
because
almost need to go to a
you do
separate
need,
panel.
yeah, you do need to understand the way the person thinks, or the way, like you said, with visual impairment, the difficulty they're facing.
Mm.
Can you still read, Louise, or you don't read now, or do you use those?
So I can't read print. Well, I say I can't read print. I can read print if it is something like 40 font size, 40-point font or bigger. Obviously nothing out there is that big. I do have a magnifying glass which has a light in it, and that is purely for reading like very, very small pieces of text. So that could be something like what temperature I need to set the oven at to cook something.
Okay. Yeah.
So I wouldn't sit and read with that because it's too laborious and too time consuming.
Yeah.
For books, I use Audible, which is absolutely amazing. Love it. Although for a long, long time, I was really resistant to using a Kindle, because it's like I was a proper bookworm when I was a child. So I was able to read print.
I love reading.
And
so
just like
I
devour
was the same, don't like the Kindle, but it is, they're very convenient.
Yeah, so when I was in my teens, I had to kind of transition to large print books because that was what I could then access. But what's out there in the library is very, very limited. And there's only so much Catherine Cookson you can tolerate, because obviously large print publishing houses think, oh no, if you need large print, then you must be a little old lady, sitting with her knitting or in the care home.
Yeah,
or
because
something.
my dad
has no.
My dad has lost a lot of his eyesight in recent years, and he was a big avid reader. And I said to him, "Oh, I found this screen. It's like a magnifying screen." And he said to me, "How many times does it magnify?" And I looked it up, and he goes, "No, that's not big enough." He said, "I still not able to read it." But he's like you; he has his magnifying glass. But
yeah, so
Kindles
have been great.
Annoying.
Kindles have been great, but I was very resistant because I liked holding a physical book and I liked turning the pages. So it took me a long time to kind of make that switch. And yes, you can increase the font size on a Kindle, but I've now have to have it so big that
few, so many.
You can only get a couple of words on the screen. Yeah. So even then, you kind of makes it very disjointed. You can activate text to speech output on a Kindle as well, but that's very synthetic, it's very robotic, and there's no kind of emotion to it. So Audible is just fantastic. It's absolutely amazing.
I must get my dad.
And there's also apps like Seeing AI, so you can download it to have it on your phone, and you can activate it and it can read your documents. So it will read my post to me. I'll hold it over the letter or whatever, and it will read the post to me. You can, if you take photographs of people and kind of store it in there, and it will tell you who it is. It will identify money for you. So it is a fantastic tool to have as well.
Now that you say money, there's so many things that you have to think about that I wouldn't initially think about. So when you go into the shops, do you find it difficult then with money? I hadn't even thought about that.
Yes. So identifying coins and notes is challenging. I tend to tap.
I tap too.
It's because it's easy. Yeah, it is. And for me, trying to kind of sort out change in my purse.
Oh, I can't. Yeah.
I then get flustered if you've got a queue of people behind you. They get impatient. It's not so bad now that I'm using my cane, because obviously, it's then an evident reason to people why I'm being slower. But before I used it, I used to get really quite stressed and anxious. But interestingly, when we were in Spain, I had euros that I took with me. And I said to the other ladies, it's like, you're going to have to help me out with the money. I struggle with English money and kind of coin identification and note identification. They're like, no, it's fine. We'll help you. And actually opened my purse and got the notes out. And it's like, oh, I can do this, because the numbers were so big on the notes. It's like, oh, that's fine. I can do notes. I just can't do the coins.
Because they're different size and different shape. Yeah. coins are, my son refuses to use coins anyway. He's 28, he's dyslexic. He goes, from the time he was small, he'd say, I only take paper money. He'd say to his grandfather. And if I give him coins, he goes, I don't want any of your shrapnel. I'm not walking around with that in my pocket. Yeah, paper money.
Brilliant. Yeah, paper money.
Well,
Amazing.
It was lovely to speak to you this morning. And as Louise said, she's on all social media platforms. Your name is on the screen anyway, where people can find you. You can find me on all social media platforms too. And my website is theparagraphchallenge.com. Thanks so much, Louise. And
amazing. Thank you so much.